Welcome back, everybody. Ooh, look at this. I don't know what that is. I guess when the power goes out, we turn to this sort of downward pointing arrow. Ooh. I don't know how I feel about this. What I do know is that we are about to enter a foray into the inevitable. This was inevitable. I incepted myself. I gave myself the idea. Where's the book? Where's the book? You know what that book is? That book says VRD Carbon. You know what this guy is? It's Vermilion. Jolly Green. You know what that means? It means that scattered all over the bench are all of the parts to build a VFD comp. I think that's what they call it. VFD comp stubby, in order to put it inside of this fella, because I did my little bit of homework, the little bit of homework that was needed. VRD Carbon has 38% overdrive. 17% of that comes from the portals, and 21% of it comes from the gearbox. Remember how we're having that issue with that not being the smoothest? Well, we're not going to need that anymore. We can save that for somebody else. We can put stock gears back in. That'll take the 10% out. Gearbox is going to feed 21% to the front. We've got 10% at the back. That's 31% total split. 31% total split on a vehicle with 2 axles fitted with a Canyon Trail or a Canyon Trail adjacent tire is too much. It's too much. But this vehicle has 3 axles. I don't think it is going to be too much. And I think that big overdrive going to the front, particularly as we're switching to a VFD, switching away from the super ultralight gearbox right there, which does not have a lot of pinion options. There's about 5 different pinions we can fit to that. Going to a VFD, the world is our oyster. I'm going to stick to 32 pitch for the time being. Because I have Vanquish slipper kits in-house and available with all the little bits. We just want that slipper as a last-ditch emergency. We're not actually using it as a slipper. So we have the unassembled. Here's the bag with all the bearings and the gears and everything. We have all of the stuff. There's the lightened front gear. Here's all the stuff. We've got all the bits from the stubby kit, of which I think we're going to use 1 or 2 pieces. I know we're going to use this one. We might end up using this big bracket fellow, which might involve drilling 2 holes in the chassis to accommodate this. We'll try not to bodge it up too badly. Well, let's be honest, it's not that many screws to take this apart, but it's more than I would like to remove. You know, we've got to do the diff, which means popping out the kingpins and redoing the thread lock, doing all that stuff. We also have that issue. Element skid is same as axial skid, anybody else, 38mm spacing, but in their divine wisdom, let's get it lined up right in the middle. I'd call it, like, focus please, I'd call it 39 3/4, just under 40mm center to center. So I have concluded it's already been slightly modified. This was done without your knowledge because of the way the links are set up here for basically element style, because it was all built around element. We're already doing that thing. We're already modifying things for no real reason other than kind of we want to. So these are ground off. There's usually a little bit more, but they don't do anything. Kind of like how they got a little boat shape here. Behind that tube, this is just plastic. So we took the front off because the front upper mounts go right there. Are the front upper mounts going to clear? The intermediate drive shaft is absolutely going to be too long. That's not a problem. These are just, are they TRX4? These are just TRX4 drive shafts. We have all the parts to make that one shorter. The front one, honestly, what I did to mock it, I went like this, and I kind of went like that, and I went, yeah, the front looks like it's going to be just about right. So what we're going to do is we're not even going to bother to build the gearbox at the moment. We have got to take out this gearbox, get the electronics pulled out of the way. We're going to have to find another position. We'll probably just swing the, because I have the receiver right in there. We'll probably swing that out of the way. We've got to pull the sides off. We've got to pull the skid out, drive shafts off. We've got to get this installed into the chassis. I think what I'm going to do is, via our good friend the Dremel, we're just going to oval out the rear hole on the chassis. Now, also, yeah, that means that the hole on the skid itself isn't going to line up anymore, so we've got to oval that out as well. Again, now we're doing something that I recognize from the outset is ill-advised, because this was never the intention, and then I put the idea in my head, and that means that we have to do it. So I could take you through the entire process of removing a bunch of screws, but rather than that, I'm just going to keep you updated as we go with each step. Okay, I'm as surprised as anybody. Just a little cutter, that hole. It's, you know, from 38 to 39 and a half, so it's about half the width of the screw. I just eyeballed it. I made them longer. Didn't have to do anything to this, but I trimmed the ends off, both ends off, just for symmetricality, and also it will allow us to put additional screws through the sliders to give us some real meat there. I got these out contemplating. I was like, well, I have to widen out that hole, which has been widened out, ovaled as well. Just Dremel. It's not super clean. I did worse on this one. It's not super clean, but you know what? I think it's going to go on, so I don't need to cut these up. We are definitely going to be adding weight. We were at 7.64 pounds RTR for this. I know, 6x6, under 8 pounds. On 4S with an 850. We're definitely going to be picking up weight, because, Jiminy, when they call this thing an ultralight, they're not kidding. It doesn't weigh anything. But I want that OD. I want that more gearing options. I think, I'm not skeptical yet. I think, oh, also, here's a fun one for you. I unintentionally made my whole electronics package modular. You literally remove 4 screws and a zip tie. You can take just the whole, just drops out. And it really refreshed in my mind how light this is. There's nothing here. It's a big reason of why we are increasing sprung weight. I was going to say, it's a reason of why the ratio of sprung to unsprung is so good. We're going to be increasing sprung weight because, like, these weigh more than this, for sure. Once this is put together, it's going to weigh 4 or 5 times what this weighs. Luckily for us, this thing is so unbearably light that an increase of weight of that magnitude, I don't think it's going to hurt us, because I think while we are increasing sprung by some amount, we are going to lower the CG. Dang thing weighs 38 grams, man. 38 grams. This skid and plastic weighs 55. That's before we put all the internals into it, everything. The VFD comp, for the purposes of this, we'll call it the VFD comp. The VFD comp is light, and this will 100% get reused. This will get reused. We use all parts of the Buffalo. There's nothing that's like that. 1233 is going to go into something, and hopefully it agrees with the axle better. I've also added another thing to my requirement. These are TRX6 axles from Jenny's. I never noticed that they come with the extended stubs. I would love to put scale nuts on here, the SSD scale hubs. I would love to put those hubs on here, not with that much thread coming out. So, unfortunately for me, so there's an extended. There's an extended, and there's a regular. So this is why we can't fit an SSD hub on there. When that lock nut is all the way down, you could put another lock nut over the top of it. So yes, I fully acknowledge 10, 23. I have to remove 40 screws and put them back in order to change these. But if not now, when? I don't want to widen the track. Yes, I could put thick hexes on there and accomplish the same thing. I don't want to widen the track. I'm perfectly happy with the track width that it is right now. But that is genuinely for later, because right now we've got to find out, did he do it? Is it due? And there have been folk that have mentioned that they have broken the Zoku sliders. My question to you is, how? How'd you do that? Now we're gonna, oh, nice. We're gonna slide these in right here. Yes, that is a valid question. That is a valid question, and I just realized that a future issue may have arisen. That skid is 77, 78. The skid on which the body is drilled is, that's like a millimeter. It's like a millimeter. We'll widen those holes out in the body a little bit if we have to. So, third hole. We can get this mounted, but I'm realizing already that to get the front end on, we need to be able to attach front links and links to the axle. And why would we not pull this apart and put the stock 1134 back in it now, while it's all fully removed from the vehicle, because that seems like the optimal way to go. I am going to do all of that because I literally just did it. I put a spool in there. So I have had this whole thing apart, disassembling, trying to get that front gear to quiet down. I desperately hope that when we put that in there, this front end is going to quiet down. But as you know, both kingpins on either side, pull the tie rod, zoop, zing it out, 4 screws, pull that, pull the spool, 4 screws into the spool, remount that, thread lock, all of it. It's an annoying 10 minutes. Welcome back to your delightful update, beamed to you directly from what I hope is my recent escape from the hell dimension, and it has nothing to do with that skid plate. Look at that guy just in there. Absolutely fine. We took that front axle off, and we needed to put that 1134 back in there. Get that, what we presumed was, what we presumed was a noisy 1233 overdrive. Here is the 1134. Well, here's the 34. Here's the 11. Here's the other 11. And here's some more of the bearings. And here's the axle housings. And here's all the bits that I had to take off of other stuff. Here are a couple of the different gear covers that I tried. Here is the pile of hardware. I lost my mind. There's another bearing in the hell dimension. We went deliberately Thesian. It sounded and felt raspy, right? On the 1233. My foolish brain thought, hey, all we need to do is we need to swap out those gears. Bob is your uncle. No. It was, if anything, worse with this gear installed. I made sure that it was seated on the spool. I changed the bearings. I changed every screw. I changed every bearing. I dremeled the living hell out of the cover, thinking that it was the gear rubbing on the cover. It would feel fine as soon as you would attempt to install the gear cover. To the point where if you tightened all four down, you couldn't rotate the gear at all, as if it was locked in place. I took a pinion gear. Where is he? I took a pinion gear to the lathe and I machined the little land off the back of the, thinking maybe I could move the pinion further away. Maybe that was the problem. No. Then I changed every last piece. I changed the housing. I tried changing. I thought maybe it's the aftermarket brass link mounts are tweaking the tube. I tried everything. And then I did the ultimate, which is, that is a completely different housing from a brand new TRX4 axle with all entirely different internals in it. The only thing that went back on was the GRC. And it turns smooth as the day is long, and there's nothing different about the parts that are in there. Nothing there is different from anything right here. It just doesn't work. This doesn't work. Between 45 and 50 minutes. And I have to, I bet you I will be able to take that spool and assemble it into a front axle, and it'll be perfectly smooth. I don't know what I did. I stepped on a, like, oh, what are the things that happen in those movies where then terrible things? I don't think I shortchanged a gypsy woman or denied her of a home loan. I don't think I kicked over an idol inside a circle of salt. I don't know what I did, but where I ended up was indisputably the hell dimension. 45 minutes later, if I had, if prescience were possible, if I could have seen what would befall me in this recent past, what was then my future, I would have just pulled that whole axle out, put the G2 hubs on the outside of it, and gone on my way. But, it's too late. It's too late. We can't go back. We now have to assemble a VFD, and please, universe, in your infinite wisdom, please allow this to go smoothly for me. I feel like I don't ask for too much, but I am asking for this. We have one potential lifesaver coming up, because if you're unaware, the VFD comp comes with a slipper eliminator shaft. Looks pretty much just like this one right here. It looks pretty much just like this one right here. Now, if you're not going stubby, and we gotta go stubby, if you're not going stubby, you can just, here is the non-eliminator shaft for VFD. You just drive it right in there. So that's why I had this guy aside, because this is the stubby shaft. And as you can see, it's the same thing. It's just shorter. So we were just going to take this guy, copy where that hole is, right there, over here, get our carbide drill out, pop a 2mm hole in it, we're ready to go. And while I was digging through the bins to find slipper shaft, and then I remembered you bought a whole slipper kit. So I have another one of these right next to this one. Of course I do. I was digging through the bins and I found this. This is the part that I used very recently to unnecessarily machine some gears in another project. That thing keeps catching the corner of my eye. I got to get around there and push the button on the back of that. I would like you to notice if we line this and this up right there, and then I'll rotate this so the holes are aligned. That hole is about a 0.5 millimeter off, but the rear, the tail of it is short. Here's basically what's going to happen. We're going to attempt to assemble this with this, whatever it's from, because boy is it close. Hopefully it's close enough. Okay, we have to discard basically all of the screws that come with this, because this thing just all it wants is another baby. All it wants is socket caps. And I don't know if I have a socket cap on this entire vehicle. We're just button and flathead throughout. I have to use a 2.5 on the kingpins, but we don't have to take the kingpins off very often, so I'm not going to worry about it. We're going to build this gearbox, and we're gonna say our prayers to the universe that it's going to be nice to us. That shaft is going to fit, and everything's going to go together just right. And we're going to head out onto the course with, I mean, everybody's math is going to be different, but let's assume right around 30%. This does have a pretty big built-in spacer, but if we take the gear ordinarily like this and we flip it around and run it inside out, it'll pull it back in a little bit tighter. I have all my hopes are shattered. That bit with the axle was a trial. That might have been the universe just coming straight at me, because I knew. I was like, man, this thing's running great. We should ruin it. I also have to look at the pinion that is fitted. I know there's a calculator. That ultralight gearbox, not a calculator. I'm just haphazardly shoving the bearings into this. I need it on flat wood. There we go. I know there's a sheet for the ultralight gearbox that gives us our gear ratios, and I will pull le pinion. 48 pitch. We are running 16, so we can see where we are in terms of final drive, and then we got bump that down because we're doubling the overdrive to the front axle. That's not a small jump. How many bearings are inside a VFD, you ask? A lot. Whole lot. I'm missing a whole piece on that bearing carrier, and then we've got one on the exterior. How many bearings? 8, 9, 10, 12, plus the one in the motor plate. 13! That's a fair amount of bearings. We're going to find out right now. We're going to find out rightly now, Lee, if this is going to line up close enough. And the answer is, oh, I know. The hole is completely inside the bearing. Yeah, completely inside the bearing. So there it is there, but we're pushed all the way through. So that means we do have to get our good buddy carbide out. And it's not you know, it's not terrible. It will pull it in more flush. We need a silver Sharpie, because make no mistake, the first thing you do, looks about right. I mean, it looks pretty close. The first thing you do is you drill the hole in that thing. Because if that hole don't go straight, you've got to dig around the bench and find the other. I mean, you know, what's the worst case scenario? We don't get the slipper that we want. I have wondered. Don't think I haven't wondered. They don't give you enough thread. They don't give you enough thread. Because you could just, you know, with an associated, something with a bigger pad, you just put the nose plate on that and just use that as the back of the slipper. They're mostly aluminum anyway. But they don't give you enough threads. So, I mean, there's the difference. That's the difference between a slipper and a not a slipper. That amount of space. So, we've got to make a mark. Got to head, 2 milli, 2 milli, 2 milli. There's our guy. Come on, there's our guy. They're not fun. They break so easy. You got to buy them 3-4 at a time. We got to drill a hole. We got to drill a hole. And then we got to make another mark for where we cut the end off, which is right about here. And then we'll just nip that off. We'll clean it up on the sander. We'll throw this thing together. And then we'll cross our fingers. The drive shafts. The motor plate looks like it's going to clear fine. My only current worry is the drive shaft, where the drive shaft exit, if it exits too low. See, my forefront worry is getting this hole straight, because drilling a hole in a round object is always fun. Unfortunately, there's no real way to find out if we got that in the exact right place and if we cut it to the exact right length until we try to bang it together. Luckily, after you've done this about a dozen times, wait, let's see. Where's the big guy? There he is. We'll just mock this up because we've got an end bearing. Do I need to grind some more off of that? I do not. Pretty good. We have no play. No, we do. I would say 0.3 millimeters or so. Right. Not just about right. As right to the point as to where I'm not futzing with it. I'm not futzing with it at all. We're gonna go together real nice. I can't remember. That's the front. Let me locate the slipper pieces. Yeah, getting the slipper bolted down. And now, because the slipper is fit in the conventional fashion, much as I'm not a fan of gear covers, we can run one now. I want to see, like, how close are the wires, etc. It's pretty clean. Now, I will point out, I said not going to mess with it, but you see that? I don't want that. I don't want that protruding. Is there a recess in the other part? No. Okay. We've got to take, I mean, that's just on the sander. So we'll pop these two off. We'll pop. It's all bolted together. We'll just take it like this, and real delicate like, we'll just take a little bit off of that. All right, that should be perfect. If we deburden it, yeah. Gear slides right down. Put that bearing on, and now we're sitting at about a fraction of a millimeter below the bearing. Excellent. Now let us see what we've got for the aft on it now. Come on. Oh. Yeah, it feels great. Centrism is... It is centric. It is centric. Okay, now we may begin to assemble the gearbox the rest of the way. There really is a difference. I'm not blowing smoke when I say that you can and will notice the difference. I have VFDs and twins of every configuration. Machine gears, sintered gears, lightened gears, combinations of gears like lightened in the front or machined in the front and sintered in the back end in the transfer case. I've got them with the aluminum bearing carriers and the plastic bearing carriers and all of the different permutations. And I will say, if you were to only spend money, and I loathe to recommend anyone do it, because I think that the prices, the premium Vanquish is putting on their gears is inexcusable. It's unacceptable, the price of these gears. This is why really the only way, either just run a spec and like it, which is the VFD that comes if you buy a kit, or the VFD that comes in a Fordyce, or that new thing that they still call the Phoenix. Just run it. It is a bit of a sucker's game to upgrade it with gears. Not that it doesn't make it better. I would never say that it doesn't make it better. But what I will say is they got you. They got you. You bought something at a price point and you thought you knew what you were getting, and then you can build a $300 VFD and you throw a bunch of money at it. I guess that could have been a little bit longer. Oh, no, you didn't. Say that you didn't. You might not have. No, you did. Oh, VFD construction issue. If you don't keep tension on that gear, you won't be able to see it. The pin has come out of the gear. So the screws I just put in, I get to take back out. And this time I stuck the bearing plate in there before it could try to fall out again on me. Here is the pin that is absolutely not a problem on a VFD, and this is the problem on a twin. You've got this pin right here. If you have a VFD twin and you've ever had it just spontaneously stop functioning, this is the pin. The pin goes right in here and it connects the forward part of the gearbox with the transfer case portion. What will happen on the twin, because there's a clip, because there's dig, there's a gear here, and then there's the locking dog to lock it. The repeated motion of that dog slamming into that gear can dis-shelf the E-clip that's on there. If that E-clip comes off, that gear can slide back enough for that pin to fall out. If that pin falls out, you can do the thing where your vehicle just sits in one place and you pull the trigger and it goes whew, whew, whew. You can hear that the gears are turning, but nothing's happening. And 9 and 10 times out of 10, what has happened is, now see, in here, there's a bearing. That bearing plate is going to sit down right on that. It's impossible for that gear to come off the pin. And then it's pretty simple. This one is an output, and this one is an intermediary. It goes right there. And then we have just one more gear, and he goes on the output shaft. Pretty easy to suss. Big ol' hole for a drive shaft pin, little hole for a pin. We've got another pin here. And whenever I do this, I always go, there's another pin! Yeah, the pin is for the slipper eliminator, which we're not using because we don't like it. This guy goes right down here like this. Just realized I did the thing where, because it's so easy to get all the gears in. I put all the gears in without greasing any of them. So let's start right up here. Kind of go here in the middle. We'll shoot in a big glob. And we'll give it a little spin. I will tell you, I built myself a couple of gearboxes in my days. Just a handful. 1 or 2, 3 or 4. A Stealth X, when fresh out of the bags, is tremendous. It's an excellent gearbox. But the Comp VFD, when in this configuration right here, when we've just built this, about to drop this down, got to dig into my drawer and get out a bunch more 12s. Vanquish loves their socket caps, and I know there's a lot of people that love socket caps. I just make an effort to have to change driver bits as infrequently as possible. I would love if we could do 2mm for everything, and I would wear out 2 or 3 2mm drive tips a year, which I would. This guy. As it is, I get about a year out of one, because you got to think, to assemble this vehicle as it sits right now, we need a 1.5. Well, now, to put these on, we need a 1.5 if we need to work on the differentials. We need a 2.5 to do the kingpins. Oh, 1.5 for the hex screws. And then 2.0 everything else. So you can see why one wears out faster than the other. We're greasers around here. We throw some grease at a gearbox. That is silly smooth. We have no worries about attempting to install the motor after the gearbox is essentially done, because we could easily have gone custom stubby. And you can see how much more you could shorten that. I got my fingers behind the motor. We could make a real small VFD. But what if in the future we say to ourselves, hey man, how about an S20 in there? But I don't think the S20 comes. Does the S20 come in a 1470? I don't feel like this. You know what? We're gonna go washers in here. Which washers? Is it under it is under the gear, but there's a lot of room in there. So I'm probably gonna have to fail and repeat a couple times until I get the exact length. That motor plate is crazy thin, so it's not gonna be 8s. We'll go with a pair of 6s, and here's another. Now we're up to 6 screws that are gonna use a 2.5, because I love a nice black oxide cap head for a motor screw, because the worst screw on the pantheon of terrible screws to strip out is a screw into your motor. So this is an instance where I will run socket cap whenever possible. Also, the screw that holds your servo horn onto your servo. If you can fit a 2.5, I highly recommend a 2.5, a big cap head, because then it's like, it's a little bit of future proofing. Where is the, there it is. It's been real feisty. Come on, you got it. Come on, you got it. We're just spinning here. Also, another instance where as much as I'm a power driver guy, I try not to use power right here, because you can quickly fall into, if you can't find it, grind it. Okay, I had to go to the internet. That didn't help. I had to go to the internet for at least one thing, which is I had to get the book out to try to find out what the internal reduction is on a VFD. Hey, how many teeth does that have? They never even tell you to install it. They never even give it a name. It's just that one. It's a 52. it might be in the... Is it in the appendices? No. And in the back, they give you rear ratio, that's per opinion, front actual... See, they give you these. Transmission rear output 10.9, front output 8.6. With what? Like, not internally. It's 2.78 to 1, as close as I can approximate. They don't give us... They don't give us the numbers. Rear ratio without spurred opinion. 13. See, we can't... I just want to know what the internal ratio of the gearbox is, because the total output ratio of this gentleman is 6.75 to 1. There's no way we can get back down to 6.75 to 1. If we get a spurred opinion ratio of 3 to 1, we're at about just over 8 to 1 out of the gearbox, which should be about perfect. Unfortunately for me, I don't think we can do that with that 56 tooth spur. We would need a 19 tooth pinion, thereabouts. Let us see. I know we've got one. A 19 tooth 32 pitch pinion is going to be pretty big, and because of the way they designed the VFD... Okay, here's an 18. Just slide it on here to see how far away it's going to be. The way they designed a VFD is if you move the motor down too far, particularly if you have an outrunner, if you have your outrunner positioned down too far, it's going to rub on the plate. It's not so much of a problem if you install something like a Fusion. Yeah, all the way down. We would have to... The washers are preventing me from getting all the way down. All the way down, the motor is going to hit that skid plate for sure. So better, I see 52. A 17. We got to find ourselves a 17, and we have to take this off and put this on. This is the 52 from the straight. Wait, 52. 52 from the portal? 56. This is the 52. All right, here's the thing. It got to a point where I had to turn the camera off. Like, it was sitting waiting for me to start a next portion. I usually just run it as a file. And, like, there was primal screaming. Nothing fit anything. If I would put a drive shaft on and get it assembled, and these both the front and the intermediate drive shaft are min-maxed. Like, you can't go to tubes to make them any shorter. Basically, you have to disconnect a shock or two to swing the axle down enough to attach the drive shaft, so we don't have to worry about those things coming disconnected. No combination of 32 pitch spur gear was functional. Like, it would not work. Ended up finding a 76 tooth associated 48 pitch. That is a Robinson aluminum 24 tooth. So we're about a tooth under where. So we're about a tooth closer to the 6.75. No, we're a tooth further away. Hey, my brain has stopped working. The universe gave us one treat, which is I attached the bracket, and it basically lined up with that lower shock hole. It just lined up with it. So I immediately, without hesitation, just drilled them out to 3 millimeters, threw the screws in there. Unfortunately, for whatever reason, the stubby kit comes with a little plate. I just stuck the receiver back here. I was going to slap this thing on here, and I went like this, and I was like, wait a minute. Well, that's not going to work. The servo's kind of right there. So, but it works. And that is gearbox brace and chassis brace. So at least one thing went together well. How much weight did we gain? I don't know. Now that I look at it, how close is that motor plate to the hood? Oh, I haven't test fitted the body. Okay, good. Okay. All right. Our fears are allayed. Oh, man. Oh, baby. That Where's my flashlight? That motor plate is, there's no real way to see it. That motor plate, that's close. That's real tight. So, also, we don't have any of the extra screws through here yet. I want to put here and here. I didn't have them before, but I want to put them on there. Oh, I feel like I was being repaid. Actually, the body kind of fits a little easier. I was being repaid / punished for acknowledging in the last episode, in episode 3, for acknowledging that it ran and drove great. It was phenomenal. And it was in my head. It was in my head to VFD it. And we VFD'd it. The motor's low now, real low. We have the opportunity to introduce an incredible amount of gear reduction. We're sort of in the configuration now of Big Mean Jolly Green himself, who is running a 3300 and around, I think he runs 17. He runs either 1552 or 1752 into the Stealth. So we have, we've got 70% less KV, 1400 versus a 3300. On 4S, mind you, but I think we've probably dropped some speed off. Radio, battery. You know what just occurred to me where I almost stopped breathing was, is the motor rotation going to be the correct direction? I'm genuinely almost afraid to plug in the battery. Oh, thank God. Thank God. Well, that guy going. Ain't no run out in that gear. I am as cautiously optimistic as I think a person could be. This has been, without regard to how many minutes this proves to be to get to this point in this video, we are into the 4th hour, uninterrupted. And none of the delays were specifically or directly related to the VFD. The VFD actually fit pretty nice. It is my foolish behavior of trying to get parts to cooperate with other parts. I knew the spacing was a little different on the skid. The smallest problem of the day. Barely noticeable. The gearing was not anticipated. We're probably going to have to buy him a different motor, which is fine. I need the 1400s for other stuff more. I'm not 100% sure. It's not in my head what the different KV availabilities are for the S12 or the S20 while I'm at it. We need to see it to see what kind of ground speed we're getting to know how much we need to go up or down. 2476, I apologize, that's fantastic gearing for me for spur and pinion. The closer they are in tooth count, the better they're going to mesh. The bigger they get, the better they're going to mesh. A 24 tooth pinion is not small potatoes. It's fairly large. I was looking for a 25, found the 24. We can obviously go up, but the motor is very close. There is less than a millimeter between the motor and the skid. Now we can put a spacer on it. The folks of the comments have informed me that it is overdrive that causes the stand-up. I have no reason to believe that's not true. I've just never experienced it because I've never had it on a 6x. I've never had this amount of torque split on a 6x. I feel like even at 2472, I feel it's going to be a little on the slow side. Yeah, we went from 6.75 at the gearbox to 8.8 out at the gearbox. So this axle should be just the normal 69.5 to 1 at that axle. And then we have just short of 79 to 1 at the rearmost axle. And then if the 20% is to be believed, 20% above this, what did we say this was? 69.5 to 1? We would divide that by 1.2. Yeah, it should be about 58 to 1 at the front axle. That's low. That's acceptably low. Basically, we've already thrown more voltage at it. More kV is the better option. I think something around an 1900 on 4S is probably going to be the go-to for this guy. But that said, I have the energy to bring with me one camera. We're going to take a brief little sojourn over 2 or 3 different obstacle sections just to see what it looks like. It is hot, mid-90s, and apocalyptically humid, but this guy's ready for it. I didn't even check to see how much battery his voltage he has. We're going to drive until he stops moving. That's what we're going to do. It all went together well, right? It's just that at every step, my God, did it fight. The slipper pads wouldn't stay in the gear. And every time I would move the vehicle, a pad would fall out. Had to redo the front drive shaft 3 times and had to redo this one twice. It just, everything was like, no, put the ultralight back in. Put it back in. We passed the Rubicon a long time ago. Oh, yes. We need that one for the road. 7.64 pounds is the number that is in my head. He feels heavier. He feels heavier. In the grams, we are now 3620. 3622 is where it is settled. In the pounds, 7.98. So yes, indeedy, a VFD is not an ultralight. 7985. There's really nowhere to pull weight off of. There's no weight that I want to put back on. I wanted him to stay under 8 pounds. Is it? I gotta talk myself down. The only thing that matters is what it does out there. So let's go into the heat out there. The numbers are close enough as to approximate 94, 34, 50. As the den is into the desert, I can do without 94 degrees and 50% humidity. That's not encouraging, but we'll give it a second. Well, it turns sharper. Yes. Yes. Oh, it's not nearly fast enough. Yeah, 1900, maybe higher. Oh, the turning go. Look at that on the no correct. Okay, what was critically important for me is when we drop down to real low levels of throttle, which now, my gracious, look at, that's just gear reduction. He may have been a little too zippy before. He feels a little sedate. Yeah, probably 1900. Because what do we say? 59 to 1 at the front axle and 79 to 1 at the rear axle if the math is close. That's a lot of split. Really smooth. There's a lot of gears. He just grabs and goes. It like, this is a thing here, all right? We're gonna have to adapt a little bit because this is his form now. We passed a number of points of no return, and I've driven him for 2 minutes, so I can't say yet if it's net some good. It feels pretty good. The shadows are brutal. The steering, okay, pluses. The steering is, I mean, bruh. Oh. It has reduced his turning circle by 1/3. You get that real low, and we're not overwhelming the 6th gear. The smoothness. Oh. Like right here at the fence, I would continually go into the fence. Now we're nowhere near it. So by the math, it should be around 30%. Oh yeah, yeah. Feels pretty good. Even in a 1900, I don't think we're going to lose too much of the fine control, the low control. Let me get down to, oh my goodness. This guy will go real slow. You can watch the drive shaft rotation. It's like nearly imperceptible motion. Somehow, with more gears, it feels more responsive. Mechanical advantage? Can we swing it all the way around? I can't see, I'm out of sight. Oh, look at that. Oh. Yeah! All right. We are trending towards net some good at this point. I mean, was it worth the 4 hours? Do you remember where he would get in between the wheelbase? Oh, the circle. Look at this. Please do take into account that he has a 445 millimeter wheelbase and 6 tires. Oh! Oh! There's that in between. take it. I'll take the maneuverability. And also take into account, please do, temperature on the rock now, probably around 120. So this is a decent, that is of course Fahrenheit. If it was Celsius, we'd all be dead. It's the smoothness. When you roll in on the throttle, yeah, that's a little bit of heat, a little bit of heat grease. Oh, I love it. I need it. I don't care that I'm roasting in the sun right now. I had to. If after that amount of time, I had to drive it. I had to. And I really, well and truly have no idea what that battery's got in it. So we need to get up this. Oh yeah. I'm hearing a little chuffing from the tires, which is, I have to assume, heat related. Does not really mind much. How tight's the wrap up here? Well, it ain't bad. How we look on the descent with the 20% up front. Oh, he's still great. He's still great. Real sure-footed. Swing it around. That particular iteration of the VFD is so very good. I'm stuck on the actual chassis. Oh, I had it. Yeah, he's theoretically undoodle-buggable. Oh, the descending. My. He's re-crowned himself in terms of descending. Can you? Got the body a little loose. I never even think to put clips on. Yeah, there's some heat. There's some heat up there. That is southern face. Come down blind side here. Oh. Okay. So the exchange was almost 5 hours of my life. All in. But I mean, I will absolutely take it. That steer. Also, we can confirm nothing. 6 gear on 6 axles. Absolutely content with whatever amount of total torque split this is. Got all kinds of different maths. Oh, it's so good. There is, what was it, 0.4 of a pound? So just shy of 7 ounces, which is just shy of half a pound. I don't feel that weight. I don't feel a gram of that weight. My biggest worry was, as the 6 gear looks like a carved up canyon trail, a cut and siped canyon trail. Canyon trails don't like big underdrive overdrive numbers. They don't like big split. We've tried it. Beep-doop. But you know what we did? We made it. Beep-doop. This is not good for the battery. You all realize that. I realize that. We all realize it together. How did we do? We didn't get to see too much of it in action. Now we're going to have to do a Jolly Green versus Vermilion. We got to see father versus son to see how they both do overall I am shiny. I don't know. Let me know. I'm not even going to make a judgment. Let me know in the comments below. How do we do? Was it worth the time spent and the effort? Ignore the expenditure. We'll use all those other parts for something else. So, thank you so much for joining us here in the Canyon today. I need to go back, and it's going to feel ice cold in the workshop. It's going to be great. Thanks for joining us. Tune in for whatever we have now next. As I mentioned, comment below. And in between now and when we meet again, please, one and all, do your very best. Have a good night, everybody. We'll see you again here from the Canyon. I feel like it was worth it, but it's still like a fresh wound right now. Like, why did it fight me so hard?